Hi, I'm Charlotte.
And I'm Nicole.
Today we are glad to have Miss Angel out to be our guest speaker. To begin, could you please introduce yourself briefly?
Yes, so I recently graduated from an integrated master's in psychology at University College London in the UK. I'm the founder at Reminder and also co-founder at Overcome. I volunteered with over 10 charities and worked in crisis support for almost 2 years, and I'm also an accredited coach.
As local students, we haven't had that much exposure to mental health or psychology, so we are really excited to learn from your experience. Would you mind sharing the experiences or moments that inspired you to contribute more in this area?
Yeah, so first of all, mental health problem is really prevalent in the UK and Hong Kong in general, like everywhere. I think especially with Hong Kong, the awareness takes time to build up. And I've got friends and family members experiencing mental health problems themselves. And it's quite difficult to navigate the pathway on how to get support in itself. And in part, I also wanted to be a clinical psychologist or work in the mental health profession. So I thought it was a good opportunity to explore different roles, jobs and ways to be a professional myself and to help people around me to navigate the support. And that's what started my journey in mental health efficacy.
I think what you said was really amazing. And we know that you have been very active in this field, especially as the founder of Reminder. If you had to describe Reminder in just 3 words, what would they be?
I would say it's empowering, educational, and hope. Empowering in the sense that we give voice to people with lived experience who have been through mental health problems themselves, and also professionals to share the expertise. And that's why it's educational. Also tried making social media posts on different ways to get support or statistics in mental health. Hope is in the sense that through disseminating information, we're hoping that people can know that they're not alone and that it's possible to actually recover from whatever they're going through and that help is available.
As a follow-up, what inspired you to start Reminder?
Yeah, so I started Reminder in high school. The opportunity was actually I was doing IB, and there's this component called CAS, so creativity, activity, and surface. And people usually do surface as in, oh, they would volunteer with an organization. I was like, let's go big. Let's try creating an organization myself, which is kind of rare. But I was like, well, let me just try it. So given that there were, as I mentioned, like really high mental health problem prevalence and also suicide rates in Hong Kong, I felt like it's pretty much well needed. Tried to create something and organize events, but COVID hit, so we couldn't do events in person. We went on full on online efficacy. We made a documentary on mental health in Hong Kong, interviewed different stakeholders, interviewed more people. That's for our YouTube, and also made different types of social media posts, as I mentioned, on statistics around mental health, tips for mental health, different ways for you to get surfaces. So like describing what each surface is available in Hong Kong for people to know what they do. And also psychoeducation on different types of mental health problems as well. So I think it took us some time to like pivot and figure out what's the right focus, but I think it was worth it. And then I stayed up like quite late at times to also make the post and make sure I post on time. Even up into when I joined university, I had to like wake up until like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. to make sure I post at the right time because there's a time zone difference between Hong Kong and the UK. So yeah.
Were there any memorable stories, challenges, or obstacles you encountered while establishing your organization?
Yeah. So I would say that there are like a few moments. First of all, internally within myself and the team, we always debate like, is there a point of us existing when there are already lots of amazing charities around and we have to really find a unique selling point? And it's very difficult because lots of people want to share the experience and might be sharing that individually, but what's our unique perspective? And then we settled on the fact that we will actually interview people from different types of lived experience and our perspective, it's a balanced perspective of personal narrative and more clinical side of things. So if we were interviewing someone, we would ask about, tell us some more about your journey of how you discovered that you might have this diagnosis, like the signs, and etc., as well as how they've sought help for their problems. So we can then really look at the journey holistically, not just their own personal experiences, but also how they got connected to professional help and what motivated them. How did their family or friends intervene and giving people a full picture of their journey as well. And then the memorable story was when a caregiver of a person with a mental health problem emailed us for support. Obviously, we can't provide direct support in the capacity of reminder. We signposted them to different organizations, we encouraged them, and I believe they're in good hands right now to actually get support. And it's just like you didn't expect a big impact in terms of having people watch videos and get inspired. They comment, they say, I relate with what you're saying. And these stories just really touch me. Like actually people want to get help and they reach out to us as well.
We also know you went on to become a co-founder at Overcome, a global mental health charity that provides free online coaching, particularly in developing countries. What inspired you to join Overcome as a reminder?
Yeah. So I joined Overcome around the end of year two, so about like 2 years ago. Um, I initially joined as a coach to actually get the training as well, because I come from a coaching background. I've done the training beforehand, and bringing in my expertise from crisis support, from other roles I've supported other charities, I actually got more and more involved. So initially, I was not co-founder, but then by contribution, I was recognized as an honorary co-founder, and yeah, I got more involved with like improving the training, line managing the coaches, helping to look at the client signups and just doing a bit of everything, including like fundraising, marketing, and everything. But I think that really helped me understand how to scale up organizations and overcomes not just regional, it's like global. So it's a much more difficult issue to like manage when you have different types of clients, different types of colleagues as well.
Looking ahead, what are your aspirations for this organization?
Yes, so far we've supported at least a couple thousand of clients and like at least over 10,000 sessions right now. So we're 2 years in providing mental health support. I would say the aspiration is to like scale up. So if we could, currently we only have a global branch. If we could create local branches, let's say in India, in Kenya, especially where support is needed, and really train people in the local languages, maybe have them see people in person, so it'll be even more accessible than online support because not everyone's familiar with how to get support from online. We're also thinking of strengthening the evidence base. So let's say running randomized controlled trials on our intervention. So currently our intervention is integrated, helping multiple problems at once. So we can help with building habits, let's say sleep, procrastination, diet, as well as mild to moderate depression and anxiety. But when you have everything mixed in, you don't really know which part is effective, or you can't really prove that each of it is effective. So if we were able to run randomized controlled trials, then we can then isolate and say, look, the procrastination program was effective, the depression one was effective, and combined, therefore, the bespoke program with all the different branches would then be effective. So really doing these aspects to like magnify the impact, get more people on board, and to spread it to even more people, essentially.
And congratulations. We also saw that you recently graduated with integrated master's degree in psychology from UCL in the UK. Could you share what motivated you to pursue a master's in psychology? Do you face any challenges that at the beginning?
Yeah, so my master's is a bit of a unique one. It's actually an integrated master's. So I would do 3 years of my bachelor's, followed by 1 year of master's. I didn't have to apply for the master's, but it came with my degree, and it was slightly more difficult to get in at admission. I think I initially wanted to get the master's as well because it comes with a placement. And initially, I didn't know it was research focused, but in the end, I did do a research focused placement, and that gave me more exposure on how to do research independently on master's level, which I also turned that into something I'm interested in, mental health. I ran a randomized controlled trial on procrastination coaching. Um, I think at the beginning, the difficulty would be because again, I'm aiming to do something for ambitious, and I'm trying to do an RCT, which is something that you usually do at like a doctorate level or like more advanced level. And within the time frame, it was very rushed. I had to get my own ethics approval, communicate with all the applicants myself. I mean, participants, which were like over 100 of them. And there were times where I literally had 5 weeks of my calendar full time logged to screening meetings with participants to see if they're good fit for the study. So that was pretty tough. But I think afterwards, once things got going, it was pretty easy. And I'm glad that the study actually came out pretty good. There were pretty strong effects in terms of reducing procrastination and improving the life satisfaction as well.
The study seems so inspiring, and I think that many of our listeners might be interested and what the curriculum is like and how to navigate psychology careers path in the UK. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah. So in terms of the curriculum, it depends on what degrees you're doing. Is it like bachelor's in arts or bachelor's in science? Most UK psychology degree, to my understanding, is more science focused. So you'll be doing a lot of research. For example, where I'm at with UCL, we're really heavy on research. Like we're literally starting to do research from year one up to year three and also year four. So at the beginning, you get a little bit of exposure of trying to write a research paper based on what the lecturers have given you in terms of a topic or a data set, or like collecting the cohort's data as the starting point. Year two, you start to modify your own focus based on the broad topic. And then year three, you actually do something independent. So research is quite a big thing in the UK. And with UCL, we have a quite balanced perspective of different types of branches in psychology, like clinical, social, etc. With other universities, let's say Oxford, might have a more focus in neuroscience. So it would be different focus, and maybe yeah, other places will have different focus as well. But then ultimately it's very research focused. So you'll be doing lots of research and not just learning the content. And there will be also lots of essays to write. So that does take critical thinking and to really look through literature and think, form your own opinions, essentially. In terms of navigating psychology career path, there are a lot of them. So to summarize, essentially, to be a psychologist, you generally need to do a doctorate in psychology, regardless of which branch it is, which is really competitive. There are also other possible careers like being a counselor or therapist, which takes at least a couple years of part-time training. So there are lots of possible careers in the UK, and yeah, it depends on what we're into in mental health as well.
Finally, could you share some practical tips for looking after our mental health from a coaching perspective?
Yeah, so coaching is more about creating an action plan, so it's more future facing. Um, One of the key modalities we teach Overcome is called motivational interviewing. The point of this is that if you want to make a change, you often know both sides, but you're just a bit conflicted. So let's say you want to be healthier, you want to do more exercise, but you don't feel like putting in the effort to actually know both sides. The good thing is, yeah, it could maybe feel happier, be more fit. The downside is, oh, it's going to take me time. I need to be consistent with it. Maybe I need an accountability buddy. So a lot of this is having someone to talk to the both sides of it and bring out the case for change. Because you do want to do it, but you just feel like, maybe not. And so bringing in that case for change helps the person to nudge them towards the direction they want to go into. So making that behavior change in eating healthier, sleeping better, doing more exercise, etc. Um, and another thing is using CBT informed techniques. If you're not sure about how to make a decision, or like you're thinking about something and that's the thoughts are really bothering you, you can actually think about the evidence for and against something. So let's say you might have a belief that, oh, I'm not good enough because something happened to me. Okay, so what is the evidence for this argument that you're not good enough? Because sometimes our thoughts are just thoughts, they're not facts, but you think they're facts and you attribute that to yourself. So let's say I think I'm not good enough, but actually I've got this achievement. My friends appreciate me, yada yada. And then the yeah, this is the evidence against, and then the evidence for could just be, oh, I just failed one exam like right now, but then every other exam I've done well. So sometimes we would magnify that one event and say that is our general pattern, but that's often not the case. So when you sit down and actually reflect on how it goes over time, you figure out that there's a lot more evidence against your irrational belief than for your irrational belief. So I guess these are like the biggest tips I could give.
I'm curious about that. Like, except CBT, are there other kinds of therapy methods? Like, can you introduce some of them to us?
Yeah, there's actually lots of them. So CBT is the main one. CBT is about changing your thoughts and also behaviors. So as I mentioned, the basic CBT cycle is that your thoughts and your behaviors and your feelings, etc., they're all linked to each other. So if you change one thing, you would have a chain effect of changing everything. So if someone's feeling depressed and they're not willing to socialize with friends, they just stay at home all day, they don't do exercise, is actually counterproductive because they're doing things that would not help their mental health. Because if you connect with friends, if you do exercise, if you maintain self-care, it's actually much better for your mental health. So if one technique is called like behavioral activation, where you would encourage that person to do things that are enjoyable or be beneficial to the mental health. And once they do it, they actually feel better. But then before you do it, you would still be like, I don't want to do it. So it's actually encouraging someone to do something can help improve their mood because behaviors are again linked with feelings. Another modality that we also teach at Overcome is called acceptance and commitment therapy. So we teach people a toolkit of techniques at Overcome. And in acceptance commitment therapy, the point is that your thoughts and feelings, your thoughts are not true. So you might think, as I mentioned, this the example of I'm not good enough. You might think I'm not good enough is a fact, but it's often not a fact. So what you do is instead of trying to change the thought, which is what CBT does, you would sit and observe the thought or feeling and having seen how it actually doesn't affect you at all, or it's just something to observe. So there's a reacting self, where you react to these thoughts. But in ACT, you switch to the observing self, where you observe these sensations. So, okay, I'm feeling that I'm not good enough. I feel really anxious. I feel like there's a heavy stone in my heart. I don't feel good. So you're trying to name the sensations and name the observations, but you're trying to slowly distance yourself from that thought and feeling to recognize it's a thought or feeling, it's not true. So this is another modality. There are also other modalities, like lots of modalities, like compassion focused therapy, focusing on being kind to yourself, dialectical therapy, which focus on how to regulate your emotions, both of which we don't teach at Overcome, but you can feel free to explore it yourself. There are lots of like third wave or different types of therapies as well.
Wow, thank you for your time. And I hope that you all find Angel's sharing very insightful and inspiring.